so far from the ground, but I'm not looking down. Feel the warmth of the breeze rushing over me. Now it's soaring high, reach and touch the sky. We can touch the sky, feel alive. We can fly, we can fly. Touch the sky, feel alive. We can fly.
Oop. Mic is on. There we go. Have to have the mic on. Welcome to the live stream. My name is David Maldo, and we are here with the amazing Kelly Perkins. Hey, Kelly, how's it going?
Happy Thursday!
Happy Thursday. It's is it Thursday or is it just Friday part 3? Because I woke up Tuesday saying, "Wow, this has been a long week. So glad it's Friday."
It
Like, oh my
has
God,
been
it's
a very
Tuesday.
long week.
It's only Tuesday. Anna's in the chat. Williams AV in the chat. Wait, hold on. Do I have chat set up? Oh, no.
Williams AV is
I tried to have
Paige.
chat set up. I don't have it set up right. Broken
I
chat.
think my friend Kyle's on too. Woo!
We'll get it going next time. So much we could talk about. We did a big live stream yesterday. The first Let's Do Video Rocks live stream. We talked about all the great things video conferencing has done this year to try to lessen the 2020 the 2020 effect that we've been suffering through. But I think you said you had some specific questions. Was there something you wanted to ask me today, or a couple
Okay,
things?
well, there's a couple things. Uh, timely, there's this horrible Hurricane Laura that hit Louisiana last night, and I knew it, everybody kind of knew it was coming, and now I'm down in Texas, and just thinking about hurricanes, and I was like, I remember that story that you had mentioned a while back about how you escaped Hurricane Katrina. So I thought maybe you could just give us a synopsis of what that exactly means. And
Actually,
then we
that's
have this.
the seller's
What's
taco
up?
thing. Should we do the seller's taco
Yes,
thing first?
that I've been wanting to know what the seller's taco is.
All right,
We
let's
were
do that
talking
first
about
because
this.
it's a shorter
Okay.
story. It's a shorter story.
All right.
So, hey Melissa, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. Everyone's working remotely and trying to figure out how do you bond with your team when you're working remotely. And the thing is, when you work remotely, you find new ways to bond. There are things that happen remote that don't happen in person. And one thing I was worried about was the private jokes. When I worked in an office, we had all of these private jokes. Oh my God, so many private jokes. And working remotely, it's like I was worried that it would feel like my team is a bunch of contractors. I email them, I say, do this task, they email me back the results, and I'm just lonely. Yeah, I don't have a company, I don't have a team. But it turns out we really do, because we do have the private jokes. We do. It comes about in a different way. One came about with chat. We're always on chat. Our team is always on chat. That's the way we live. We live on chat because it's less disruptive. I don't if I'm bugging you with something, you could just not be there, and when you get there, you get there. And we get on video when we have to do work. And Anna on the team, she usually does chat from her mobile. And you know how mobile is. Sometimes it puts words in there that you didn't put just for no reason at all. So we get some funny stuff out of Anna. And one time she was talking about something that happened that was pretty awkward. And her phone said that it was seller's taco. And everyone else in the chat is like, wait, so you met with your friend that you weren't expecting to meet and it became seller's taco? What does that mean? We were so confused, and it took a while for her to stop laughing long enough to type. I tried to type awkward, and the phone said seller's taco. So that became our private joke now. We never use the word awkward. Everything is just seller's taco. And we use it so much we don't realize we're doing it. So you who are relatively new to our team, hanging out with us, and we're talking about how, oh yeah, yesterday someone jumped in the meeting early and they weren't supposed to be there and it was really seller's taco, and you're like, time out. And I've been waiting, making you wait till now. Oh, I forgot to hold on a second. The story's a lot more funny if I say. And instead of saying awkward, she typed seller's taco. Oh wait, no, wrong one. All right. I got to remember to use that more. And today we're here with Kelly Perkins. Akko Taco. Oh, it was supposed to be Akko Taco. Anna's actually in chat right now. Oh, I see. I didn't even know that part. So you were trying to say it was Akko Taco. It became Seller's
Taco,
Taco.
taco.
Yeah, so everything's this whole stream is already totally Seller's Taco.
Yes.
Right? What do the kittens think? Yeah, they're giving me that disapproving look. I think they've had enough. So do you want to hear the Katrina story?
I do. I
All
really
right.
do.
All right. It was, and people are getting hit right now, so I don't want to make light of it. I'm not trying to make jokes or anything, but this is literally the story. So I lived in New Orleans for 10 years, and when Katrina hit, I was living in the French Quarter. I mean, it like not like near the French Quarter. I was in the. People say, "How do you live in the French Quarter? How do you sleep at night?" You just learn to sleep with jazz music blasting at full volume. And when you live in the French Quarter, you don't own a car because everything is walking distance, and where do you park? There's nowhere to park. So I didn't have a car, so it wasn't a matter of just, all right, just everyone else was just like, just throw your stuff in the car and just start driving, figure it out later, it's really bad. It was we knew it was bad because there's this one weatherman in New Orleans that everyone super trusted, and he'd been retired for a few years. His name was something Nash or Nash something, I don't remember. And he came out of retirement to say, everyone, this one's real, get out. And then everyone was like, okay, we're out of town. And everyone started evacuating. And the day before it hit, I think it hit on a Sunday morning. So that Saturday, I realized I can't ride this out. I'm getting out. I had ridden out some bad storms in New Orleans, and a year before, we got hit by a tropical storm that hit Texas. It was a tropical storm, like 100 miles away, and the water outside where I was living at the time, this was before I was in the French Quarter, was waist high. So I'm like, if this is going to hit us directly, um, I got to
We're
get
screwed.
out. Yeah, yeah. So I walked from the French Quarter down to the convention center, which now I think of as, I used to think of the convention center where I would go to like the Mardi Gras parties. This is incredible, the Orpheus Ball. Oh my God, it was incredible. Okay, slight diversion. When you've lived in New Orleans long enough, you start to meet people who are in the parades. You need to know someone who knows someone whose family has been in the parades for you. You don't get to just be on those floats. And the big ones, they bring the parade into the convention center. So you're in the convention center. It's black tie. You have to rent a tux. You can't just wear your suit. It's a really formal affair. There's like, I think Harry Connick Jr. was the musical guest one year. And the parade itself comes into the convention center with all these people in black tie, and every bead that they have left, they start throwing at you. I had a garbage can.
Oh,
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. So that was what I used to think of as the convention center. Now I think of the convention center as this haunt. Chris Netto's in chat here for the hair tips. Arctic Fox, Purple Rain. Arctic Fox, Purple Rain. Now I think of the convention center, people died there. It was really bad. So the day before it hit, I'm walking by the convention center, which a few days later I would see on the news with people suffering outside, to go to the rent-a-car place. And I go to the rent-a-car place, and there's like 20 people in there. It's New Orleans in August. We're all stinky, we're hot, we're sweating, we're waiting. The one person is on the phone trying to figure things out. And the person says, okay, we have a few cars left at the airport. We're bringing down one of our little vans now, and we can cram you all into the van and drive you to the airport. There's so much traffic, everyone's evacuating. It's going to take us 4 hours to get there. And I'm like, okay, are there any other options? Yes, we have cars coming in here tomorrow morning. We're going to have 10 cars here tomorrow morning. We could reserve you one of those. And I said, the smart thing might be just to get in the van and get in the car and get out of here. But I'm thinking, I love New Orleanians, and sometimes 3 in the morning we're packed dancing, close in these clubs, and I deal with that. But the idea of being in one of these little vans, overpacked with all of us in August, I'm like, I love y'all, but I can't. I'm like, you'll be here tomorrow morning. The guy's like, we'll be here tomorrow morning. Went home, went to sleep, and then it started getting really scary. It started starting to rain. People starting to freak out. The next morning, I wake up, I walk, and it was like a 2 mile walk all the way through the French Quarter. Oh, I should bring up a map and show you guys. Next time I tell the story, I'll be prepared. I'll show you a map of the French Quarter. I'll show you where I walked. And I go to the rent-a-car place, and it's closed. There's no one
Ugh.
there. I'm freaking out. So and this is before, this is before iPhones. This isn't before I had an iPhone. This is before iPhones were a thing. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100%. Was iPhones before or after Katrina? I think they were after. But anyway, I didn't
When
have
was
one. 2006? It's right around there. But I had a flippity phone. So I'm on the flippity phone and I'm calling Hertz or I don't know, Budget or whatever rent a car. I don't want to disfame any rent a car place. I don't know which one it was. I don't remember. And they're like, sorry, we had to get our people out of there. I'm like, your people out of there. What about me? What am I going to do now? And she's like, stop being dramatic. Stop being dramatic. So I'm walking around. I'm
That's what
calling
she said?
yeah, something like that. She's like, oh, come on. I'm like, oh, come on. Yeah, I'm going to die. So I'm like, so I'm calling the cab companies. Phone's just ringing. There's one cab company that always I've used for 10 years there. They always answer and they get you your cab. And I forgot what it's called, whatever, New Orleans cab. No answer. So I just start wandering around the French Quarter, trying to figure out what to do. I'm like looking, hoping a cab will magically show up. Like one cab driver is like, oh, I'll get one more fare, and there's no one left. Everyone evacuated. This isn't as people were evacuating. The town is empty. And I'd lived there for 10 years and I'd never, ever seen the French Quarter like that. 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, never seen it that empty. I'm like, this is like being in a movie. This is really weird. I've never seen. And I know this didn't happen for real, but I remember it as if it happened because it was so empty. In the old cowboy movies, in the old ghost town, the tumbleweed goes across the street. There's no tumbleweeds in New Orleans. There's no way an actual tumbleweed went across the street, but I remember seeing one because it just that feeling of being in the ghost town was so real that in my imagination now I have a tumbleweed going. So I'm walking around, I'm calling friends. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. I'm panicking. And then I see a van, one of those little minivan things in front of one of the really, really fancy hotels. Like, the really, really rich people when they're in town. That's the hotel they go to. And I wander over to them just because I'm thinking maybe I can, ask. I don't know. I don't know what to do. There's no one else. There's no one else in New Orleans. I see movement. I see people. And I walk over and as they're loading up, I just stand in between the two families that were getting in the van. So I'm not standing close enough to one family that they'd be like, why are you standing with us? You're not in our family. Or not standing close enough to the other family. And when everyone gets on the van, I just got on the van. And I just sat there. And the van starts going to the airport, and I'm just sitting there. And I swear, it's like I couldn't believe I was doing this because it's not something people do in real life. That's not something. Oh, Neto's right. I need an animated stick. I need to pay on Fiverr, get an animated stick version of the story. And I'm sitting there. I'm terrified because I'm not one of the. Some people just do stuff like this. I don't do stuff like this. I don't steal free rides. And I'm sitting in the van, and it's 11:30 in the morning. And the rent-a-car people said they would have people at the airport rent a car till noon, and they were bugging out at noon. So I have half an hour. On a good day, a cab takes a half an hour to get from the French Quarter to the New Orleans airport. And there was still traffic. The traffic was stopped. They were saying it was 3 hours. And I'm like, how are we going to get to the airport in a half an hour when there's 3 hours of traffic. And the people in the minivan, and I'm just sitting there looking at my phone and texting people and trying to figure out what to do and trying to look normal. And the other people, look, they had short hair at the time, I think.
I was gonna say, did you have your
I
short
think
hair
I
or
think
long
I
hair?
had short hair at the time, and people in the van are talking to the driver, saying, "Oh, I think there's one more flight, or we're waiting for rental cars, or whatever, and how long is it going to take you to get there?" And the cab driver, he's a local. He goes, "Yeah, it's a 3 hour ride. I'll have you there in 20 minutes." And I'm thinking, in 10 years, I've never made it to the airport in 20 minutes. It's a half an hour drive with no traffic. He's taking these back roads. He got us there in 25 minutes. I was like, "Oh my god, this has never happened before." Everything's lining up. I get out of the cab, and as I'm walking away, the people are starting to say, "Was he with you or was he with me?" And the driver's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Thanks, bye." Got out of there. Ran to the airport, and I'm
Did you
thinking,
have to pay or anything?
"Oh,
You just ran away.
it was the airport shuttle. You don't pay the airport shuttle. It's free with your room."
Oh,
You
okay.
know, I don't remember what airport it is, but if it's a Hilton shuttle, you don't tip. I guess you could tip
Got
the
it.
guy,
Got
but you don't pay. But it was fancy schmancy, Waldorf Astoria. I don't remember what the name, one of those fancy schmancy hotels. And they're all just kind of looking at each other like this as I scuttle away. And I'm thinking to myself, one of the things about New Orleans is the cab drivers rip you off. When you get out of the airport and you get in the cab, the first thing you have to say is, "Hi, I'm a local. Take me to." Otherwise, and before I learned that, so the money I've spent on cabs going to the airport in 10 years, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and the entire time I could have been doing it for free. I finally learned how to get to the airport for free, although I don't know if I would have really done it if I didn't really need to. So I run to the rent a car place and it's closed. So this rent,
it.
I wish I remember the name of this rent a car company because that's twice they got me. They said they'd be there at the French Quarter, and they said they'd be at the airport. They're not there. I'm like, what's? And I heard someone say, I think it was budget. If it wasn't budget, I hate to give them credit, and if it was budget, they deserve it. I think it was budget, but whatever. They said, this one is still open, and everyone runs there, and I'm waiting in line, and I'm waiting in line. There's like 30 of us, and there's two people working there still. Maybe it seems like it was 40 of us. There's so many people there, and we're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I get up to the front of the line, and any car you got, da da da, get the keys, driver's license, all the stuff, checks out, and I don't have any tickets or anything like that. How are you going to pay? Here's my credit card. And in those days, people really like now credit card, debit card doesn't matter. It says Visa, you put it in and it works. People were still treating debit cards different than credit cards. It sounds weird, but particularly rental car companies for some reason. So I handed them my whatever it was, Bank of America Visa, and she's like, "No, this is a debit card. We only take credit cards." I'm like, "I don't have one. I don't have one.
Oh God.
I don't have one. This is my Visa. I use it for everything. It says Visa on it. Visa. It looks like a credit card. It's got numbers. Got my signature on the back. I slide it in the machine. It's a credit. I wasn't saying all this, but I was thinking it. I'm panicking, and I'm like, "Look, it's a credit card." And I mean, I use it, and I'm not trying to scam or anything. And she's like, "It's just a company policy. There were issues, and now we only take the." And I went, "Lady, you gotta help me. I'm gonna die." And she goes, "Give me the credit card." And I gave it to her, and she processes it, and she gives me the card. She gives me the card, and she gives me the keys, and I'm like, "Thank you, thank you." She's like, "Go, go." So I get in the car, and I'm driving back into New Orleans. And as I'm driving into New Orleans, the road going out of New Orleans is stopped traffic. I mean, it is just everyone's trying to get out, and there's no one
I'm
else going
crying.
in. This all really happened. This all really happened. And as I'm driving in, I see the looks on the faces of the people in the cars driving out like, why is that guy driving into the city? It's about to get flooded, get out. But I had to go back and get my stuff. So go back, and I had a cat at the time, put the cat in the car. This guitar I grabbed. And I had a little amp. I had a little amplifier that I didn't grab because I'm like, it's a little $10 amp, but they don't make it anymore. It was so cool. It was one of those, like, it was so cheap that it was so bad that the buzz it made was like a really punk buzz. And they don't make it anymore, so I lost that. Like little things like my grandpa's baseball hat, shoved them all in the car, got in the car, started driving. and I'm listening to the radio, and they're saying that the traffic, everyone's going west. So the traffic going west, like towards Texas is really, really bad. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go east. So I'm going east, but of course, a lot of people also heard that. So going east was pretty bad. And as I'm driving out, it is really starting to storm. I mean, it sounds like an exaggeration to say I was the last one out of the city, but if there was anyone behind me, they got wet. You know what I'm saying? It was raining. I barely, barely, barely made it. I didn't go out when people were evacuating. I made it out when people were already telling their stories of being camped out somewhere. So I'm driving east, and there's traffic. And at one point, I remember thinking this. I'm on this one bridge, like right as you get out of Lake Pontchartrain. I'm on that bridge, and I'm looking at my speedometer, and I'm going 13 miles per hour. And I'm listening to the radio, and it's saying that the storm is now over the city, and it's heading east at 12 miles per hour. I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm outrunning it by 1 mile per hour. The worst storm of the century is chasing me out of my city right on my tail, but it's going 12 and I'm going 13, so I'll probably be okay. And meanwhile, my cat Boom Kitty, who's no longer with us, I miss him so much. My sweet, sweet Boom Kitty, he's terrified, and the only place that he feels safe is under the brake pedal. It's not
Oh
just
God.
enough that, I mean, you can sit on my lap, I'll comfort you, or just sit in the chair next to me or whatever. I try to have him in his little carrier, but he freaks out and he was like going crazy. I'm like, you could be by my feet, not under the brake pedal, because I might need to stop. I might need to stop. So I'm dealing with that. I drive through Mississippi. You're not in Mississippi long. I get to Alabama, and at that point, the emotion hits me. I'm exhausted. The storm's no longer on my tail. It kind of curved this way, and I went that way. But I had to sleep. So I pull into a Walmart parking lot, and I turn off the ignition, and I lay down. And within 3 seconds, it's 120 degrees in the car because it was nighttime, but it's August in Alabama in a Walmart parking lot. So I turn on the ignition to turn on the air conditioner, and then I'm terrified because I'm in the middle of an empty Walmart parking lot with my engine running. It's like, hi, come and kill me. Someone, hello, Alabama people. Any if anyone's out there and you're looking for some, city boy who doesn't know how to fight, here I am with everything I own in my car. Come and get me. So I would get so hot I would turn on the car for like 10 seconds just to cool it off, then turn it on again, then try to sleep for 10 minutes. um, Finally make it to, I think I drove straight through to Georgia. Yes, I have a friend in Georgia and stayed with a friend in Georgia for 2 weeks. And after that, I was safe. Georgia to North Carolina to New Jersey, um, to to the video conferencing industry. That's how I was back in New Jersey trying to figure out my next step. Wayne House Research, Ira Weinstein at Wayne House Research said, "What's your next step?" I'm like, figuring it out, and he goes, "Oh, while you're figuring it out, come work for me at Wayne House." And here I am. Good story.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like it. That's super cool. So I'm glad that at least something positive came out of Katrina. We got you in our industry.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here now. At the time, it was really tough. But actually, we could tie it into the industry because, and we could tie it into what's happening now. Um, because when I built Let's Do Video, I really built it with that story in mind. Because after that happened, we weren't all on chat together, and we didn't have video. We had email. And email is just electronic letters. People think email is everything. People think email is their task list. Thank you, Paige. People think email is their to-do list. Email is just letters. So we were doing the equivalent of just mailing letters to each other, and the office fell apart. What would happen is I don't know, every week or two, I would email or text my best friend at the office. I was an attorney, one of the paralegals. Say, what are you hearing? What's going on? And she would say, this lawyer is now in Chicago and he's going to stay there. This lawyer is now in California. She might come back in a month. This one person is at the office, but it's unworkable there, and none of the cases are being worked on, and it's just
Mess.
yeah, business just stopped. I'm thinking, what about our clients? I mean, our clients, when you're
And
in law,
if you guys miss this, David used to be an attorney,
yeah, yeah.
if you can believe it.
I know. And I looked, and it wasn't purple, but I did have long hair when I first started being an attorney. I have pictures to prove it. Um, so business just completely stopped. I'm still not sure what happened with some of the cases I was working on. I never went back. I never went back. And today, I'm hoping that, unfortunately, a lot of people are being, the people who are being disrupted will at least be able to continue with their lives remotely. If a hurricane hit here, I would have still been able to do this stream off a laptop in a hotel room somewhere because all the technology is really in the cloud. My YouTube account and settings are in the cloud. It doesn't rely on this computer. My streaming software that I'm using, this OBS, I could put it on a flip disk and use it on any computer. Um, I wouldn't lose touch with my teams. They're all in chat. As long as I have this with me, I always got Kelly with me. We're in a secret channel that no one knows about with Anna. I always have Anna and Kelly with me. And yeah, I mean, of course, Katrina would have been disruptive regardless. But if we had all of this technology in 2006 that we have today, I might still be an attorney. Those cases might have still gotten worked on. The
It's
disruption wouldn't have been
crazy.
so bad. I would have been writing briefs the next day from a hotel room.
Right. Man, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Well, it's
that
even like the pandemic and stuff. Imagine if it was 2006 when that happened.
yeah, that's I mean that was really the whole point of yesterday's video rocks is to show the difference video made this year. Because when we had disasters in the past, we had previous whatever pandemics, hurricanes, yeah, we had video when we used it and it helped, but it helped a little. The really
Kind of
important meetings
kludgy.
still happen. Yeah, it was kludgy. We didn't use it for everything. And with this pandemic, we just slipped right into using video. And obviously it was still a bad year. It was still a really bad year. And video didn't solve all the problems in the world, but business continued. All right, we're working. You moved during this,
Yeah.
and you're still working, and not just with me. You have a bunch of different clients. Every time I talk to you, you're working on a project with this or project with that in the middle of a pandemic, working remotely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, not the pandemic or 2020, but the fact that you can pretty much work from anywhere, depending on your job role, I suppose, but everyone seems to have adapted pretty well.
Yeah,
Minus minus a few, but
yeah, yeah, definitely there are some things you just can't do remotely. If you work at a grocery store, you got to go to the grocery store and work at the grocery store. And those people are heroes. I really mean that. I'm
yeah,
like,
no
oh yeah,
kidding.
I used to work at a grocery store, and it was a tough job anyway. It's a tough job anyway.
Me
But with
too.
you did that, but with people
Well,
coming in and making you sick, it's scary.
I worked 2 weekends making popcorn and cotton candy, so that doesn't really count.
Oh, I did it through high school. I was a cashier through high school, and oh man, there's this like time distortion field when you're ringing up groceries, and you'd be like, okay, I'm here for I was in high school, so I'd have like a 4 hour afternoon shift starting at 2. Okay, look at the clock. It's 2:05. I'm here till 6. I'm gonna not look at the clock. Not look at the clock. 4 more customers. Not look at the clock. Not look at the clock. Okay, I'm gonna look at the clock. It's 2:10. I still have three and a half. I still have 3 hours and 40 minutes. It seemed like the clock would just stop. The clock would just completely stop ticking. And
Yeah, I remember that from Kmart.
a 4 hour shift seems like 20 hours. It was so bad.
You go have your little break in the break room for 15 minutes and eat Pringles and Dinty Moore's beef stew. Go back out.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have to go back. Paige sold produce in a little stand. It's cool. It was better
Well,
when they
that
shipped them
story
into the
was
pharmacy.
awesome.
Yep, it was a good
I
one.
enjoyed the hurricane story. Yes, it was
Yeah,
really good. You're a good storyteller.
thank you. Oh,
I'm
maybe
just the
next week I'll
awkward
tell.
person in the window.
No, no, you keeping this moving. You know how
Seller's
awkward.
taco.
Oh my God. Let's see what this stream would be like without Kelly. Hold on. Oh, we get rid of. Hold on. Let me read this. Hi, it's just me talking to you. Wow, this is so much more engaging. I'm gonna tell my story. I'm just gonna sit here and talk. And sometimes I
I'll
do
just
podcasts like this because I have to, I have a message I have to get out or something I want to share. But um, I think this is a lot. This is a lot better, a lot more natural. By
I'll
the way,
just, I'll
I want
just
to
be
set
up in the
this up.
corner and laugh.
Yeah, there you keep me going. This is working. I want to set up some different graphics. We need to come up with some different stuff because this feels like I'm interviewing you and we're actually like co-hosts. So I don't know. Maybe I could
Yeah,
do
we should work
something.
on some stuff.
Put us
And
on a
we should
couch together or something.
have some guests too and come on. I've already scored a couple people who are willing to come on, so that's cool.
Nice. I'm down. What are the? Hold on. Let's see. Oh, the kitties approve of the guests. The kitties approve of the guests. Yeah, I think
On
that'll
that
be fun.
note,
I'm getting the sense it's time to wrap this up.
I think it might be.
Thank you, Melissa.
Happy
Yay,
Thursday,
Anna. Yay,
everyone.
Paige. Thank you, everyone.
Love
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Big love for everyone in chat. We'll be back next week. This is a regular thing. Take care and have a great rest of the week.
Ugh, funny.